single ounce of morality. He ran to scuttle off to Israel after October the 7th and ran around with Netanyahu, showing him what the horrors were of October the 7th. Now, a lot of the stories on October 7th were invented stories. A lot of the stories about October 7th concealed the fact that Israel had a policy called the Hannibal Directive, whereby they kill their own Israeli people, the Jewish people, if they think they're about to be captured, because they're scared of exchanging hostages, because they know they'll have to exchange so many thousands of Palestinians. How come there are so many thousands of Palestinians? Children and women in Israeli prisons. How come? What are they asking for in an exchange of the hostages? For a few hundred hostages, they get thousands of Palestinians released. Released from where? Why are they in prison? I read this morning on Haaretz newspaper, Israeli newspaper. I looked on there this morning, there's a historian on there, says Zionism was a fraud from the beginning. He wished he never believed it. He did believe it, but now he doesn't believe a word of it. And then he said in there something, I don't remember the exact name of the guy, but there's an organisation in 1945 created by Jews who are victims of mistreatment in Europe. And he said in there, this organisation was called Revenge in Hebrew. And they had a plan, including participation from a later Prime Minister of Israel. And the plan was to poison 6 million Germans through the water supply in Germany. And this guy went to Germany to try and poison 6 million Germans. Not SS officers, not Nazis, but just Germans in general. So and this guy was awarded with some of the highest prizes for poetry and literature in Israel. So here we have a country, like the story you get in psychology, psychoanalysis of criminality, you know. The child abuser is often someone who was themselves abused in the past. Now someone turned around to me earlier on and said to me, oh yes, but in China so many people are arrested. In China you're not free to say this and that. In China you can't do this and that. Plenty of people, many of them Jews, in London, protesting against the barbarity carried out in their name, are being imprisoned, arrested, threatened, harassed. Last week in a Quakers building, in a church in London, the police invaded, 30 police with tasers, to attack a young group of women seeking to protest against the slaughter and barbarity carried out by Israel, backed by Britain with your taxpayers' money. So when they turn round to you and say about their morality, and they have these guys, these goons, every single demonstration by the Palestinians, there's a group of paid agents of Israel. The leader of them is a former tank commander in the Israeli army. And they're paid agents to manipulate British politics, they turn around and said, you can't go near the BBC on a demonstration. And then the demonstrations have been going on for 2 years now. They banned the demonstration, and you're only allowed to march from Parliament Square to Trafalgar Square. The whole place was full. In other words, you could no longer march. You weren't allowed to go anywhere from Trafalgar Square up until the BBC, which is nearly 2 miles. Piers Corbyn, he's here somewhere,
behind you over there.
Jeremy Corbyn's brother, he picked up a flower and went on his own to the BBC to give a flower to the BBC. There were hundreds of police around. There were no demonstrators around. What happens to Piers Corbyn? He gets arrested for trying to deliver a flower to the BBC. That's how fair and democratic our society is. A few weeks ago, a Holocaust survivor from Auschwitz protested against Israel outside. He tried to go outside the Israeli ambassador's house, I think it was, and he was arrested by the police and taken for questioning at Charing Cross police station. So when they tell you how free and democratic we are, in truth, once you properly investigate, what's happening in British society, what's happening in America, what's happening in Europe. In Germany they're arresting people and deporting them. In America they're arresting people and deporting them simply because they oppose Israel's controlling influence over much of the political system. And by the way, don't forget, the last genuinely elected leader of any party in Britain, genuinely elected by the movement from below, was Jeremy Corbyn. And when Jeremy Corbyn was elected, as soon as he was elected, they were horrified. And as one man and woman, all the mass media turned on him. All the politicians turned on him. You're a supporter of Hamas, they said. You support Hamas. You are a terrorist sympathizer. You support the IRA. You're an agent of the secret services of the Soviet Union, as it used to be. That's what they smeared day in, day out for nearly I think it was 4 years. 2015 until 2025 years of this slander that they could get away with. No interest in the truth. Then came the COVID period. I'm not going to break your COVID rules of the YouTube. Then came the COVID period. Even coming here to speak was declared illegal. The police officers used to storm in here with Praetorian guards, like a Roman formation, to drive us out of the park. Young girls, 15, 14, 13, arrested and beaten by the police at Speaker's Corner for trying to come here to speak. So when they tell you, and by the way, why did they do this? Because they wanted all of you, the entire population of Britain, to stay at home, to wear a mask on your face and sit there waiting for the jab. And when the jab came, you couldn't complain. I won't be talking any more about that.
No, I don't care.
He's worried he had to run away.
I'm on Tommy's Twitter page, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, Tommy's Twitter page, oh I see.
So it doesn't matter.
But then they got this other guy, Tommy, who they grab and elevate to this high status, you know. But and he talks about grooming gangs in England. He talks about the rape of children in England. Israeli army is systematically raping Palestinians. Israel is systematically murdering Palestinian children. Do they scream about that? Do they complain about that? Where's the balance in this thinking about the killing and raping and misuse of children and women? Where's the balance? They want to stir up hatred on behalf of the United States, on behalf of Israel and its lackeys. Stir up hatred all around the world against the Muslims. That's the idea, because rather than 1930s when it was the Jews they attacked, now this grouping, Tommy Robinson, Elon Musk, Nigel Farage, Donald Trump, all of these people are all in league with Israel. In league with Israel to undermine the rights of the people around the world. Israel plays one of the games to help stabilize the Middle East, to plunder the people of the world, and to spy on the people of the entire planet. Israeli intelligence agencies work in conjunction with some of the biggest tech companies to spy on every human being on earth. And then they tell you, oh, the Chinese are watching over you. I tell you what, you go on. I went on to ChatGPT, privately owned company. I went on there, did a bit of research on stuff. Then I said, oh, I went to go and share it about one of the companies that supports Israel, Palantir. When I went to share it, it says, moderation says you can't share. They gave me the answers, and I'm not allowed to share what they told me. On YouTube, I posted stuff on YouTube. They take you off YouTube. They delete you from YouTube if you don't agree with the line that they're putting, even if the line they're putting is a pack of lies. In fact, particularly if it's a pack of lies, because you're supposed to repeat the lies. Repeat the lies that the machine wants you to believe, wants you to repeat, wants you to back up. And meanwhile, you're supposed to sit back and take it. Take it while they shaft you. Stealing the resources from the working person, stealing resources from the poor, stealing resources from the disabled in order to finance the war machine, to kill more people, to plunder more people and rob more people. And now the world is clear. You know, Donald Trump says, okay, Russia goes for Ukraine, or we go for Mexico, we go for Canada, We go for Greenland and Panama. So there is big power politics again. It's back to how it was before the First World War. That's where we're back to, before the First World War. And we're facing a gigantic economic slump, following on from the division and the destruction of globalization. A global economic slump, driven by the Americans, in which the Americans, by the way, will lose. America only accounts for about 12% or 13% of world trade. China, no, 10% of world trade. China, 12%. And China manufactures the goods. They make real things, you all know that. When's the last time you bought a product? Computer, mobile phone, electronics, made in America. When's the last time? They don't have the capacity to make these things anymore. So they want to use their financial might, because the dollar is the reserve currency. They want to use their financial might to control the world, to wreck the world. And they want to use AI as a means to destroy other countries, because they think if we can get into the computer system governing, for example, financial transactions in the stock market in London, then in a few days we can manipulate the stock markets to transfer billions or trillions to America. These are the type of idiotic ideas they've got as to how they'll control the world. Or to gain access to the modeling systems of computer information inside the major companies in Britain or Germany or France. By the way, that's what they mean when Donald Trump declares these tariffs. He means we are going to war with England, with France, with Germany, with Mexico, with each of the countries around the world. That's what they're doing. America has declared we are number one dog and you are subordinate to us ad infinitum. You are subordinate to us and our ally, the key ally in the world, Israel. And what they're doing in Gaza, you think that's only for the Palestinians, is to show the whole world, this is what we can do to you. And no one will do anything. No one will do anything. And that's why the Palestinian struggle is so important. Because a lot of people, they think, oh no, the Palestinians, they're like Muslims. They're Muslim fundamentalists, look at October the 7th. Muslim fundamentalists attack, like, people at a festival. You've been to a festival. Now they're being attacked. They don't share our values. They don't share our opinions. They don't share our beliefs. They don't share our morality. That's why we can treat them like dogs, human animals. That's what one of the ministers in Israel said, human animals. And therefore we can destroy them. The same language was used by Adolf Hitler and the Nazis about the Jews themselves. So the abuser is repeating themselves. Well, a section of the Zionists had an agreement with Hitler to try and create an Israeli a Jewish state. The only issue is, it's not even between the Jews and the Arabs. The Jews and Arabs must live as equals in a single country. The idea that Israel, that the Jewish can control the Palestinians indefinitely. Ridiculous. And then these idiots, they declare, anyone who says the resistance in Palestine is justified is a terrorist. And yet the next day, when the HTS, as they're called, in Syria, came to power, they are still, to this day, a proscribed terrorist organization in Britain and in the United States of America. But they're allies now. Oh, the terrorists are allies now. Like Bin Laden used to be an ally of Britain, an ally of America. We used to send finance to them. We dug holes in the mountains to protect them. We armed them. We trained them. And then they turned on us. Now HTS came to power in Syria. The British said, oh, they changed their mind. They're now no longer terrorist killers. And then what happened? Only last week, suddenly they turned. Thousands of people were killed in Syria last week and the week before by this HTS gang, financed and supported now by the British and Americans. And by the way, by Israel, of course, by Israel. Our saviour. Our saviour. And you get these idiots standing over there, put up the Israeli flag, and then they start preaching the gospel. What sort of gospel is that? What sort of gospel is that? Thou shalt kill. Thou shalt slaughter. Not even an eye for an eye. One Jewish eye on October the 7th equals about 1,000 Palestinian eyes. That's what they're saying. And you're supposed to suck it up and believe it. And then prepare your children. Because this is what the government is saying. Prepare your children for war. Prepare your children for war in 5 years' time. We're going to have a wee army of young people who we train. They're all unemployed now, after all. They're not working. They're not in education. Send them in the army. That's what they're saying. What are we going in the army for? To support Israel and support Ukraine and support whatever madcap idea they've got for sending us to. Meanwhile, the people who are at war with us is America. The people who are at war with us are going to be the Europe, and the people who are at war with us is our own government turning against us. They are fighting against us. Our battle is not against Putin. It's not even against Donald Trump. It's against our own leaders, our own rulers, our own state. They are the people plundering and murdering us and murdering in our name around the world. So I say to people this: become conscious of what's happening around the world. Study politics, analyse what's happening, organise and combine together, realise your commonality, break down the barriers created by the COVID hysteria that divided you one from another, made you scared to meet other people. Meet as many people as possible, discuss with as many people as possible, and you will discover, once you talk to people, start at Speaker's Corner, once you talk to people and discuss with people, you will discover the commonality between the Muslim, the Christian, the Jew, the non-believer. The commonality in our lives is what unites us together to challenge the existing order of society that rules above us and that we must overthrow. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Big up, big up, big up.
Brilliant.